Alright, I'm going to demonstrate how you make single servings of greens juice or greens and carrot juice. First, I want to point out I'm wearing non-latex powder-free gloves. And here I want to point out on the legs on the bottom, I have extended it 1 extra inch, and that is to enable these wide mouth ball jars to go under to catch the pulp. Now I'm going to make pulp, and you want to fill it up 2/3 full, not fuller than that. And what I'm going to do is start with a carrot. You always begin with carrots if you're mixing greens and carrots. That way your pulp will not stick to the cloth. Very important to keep this covered so you don't have a blowback to the ceiling. I'm just going to point out, turn it off briefly, because we're mixing Goda-Cola, or otherwise known as pennywort greens, with the juice for my wife. A wise man once said, if you eat 2 leaves of pennywort every day, you live to be 150 years old. I hope that's true. Greens are very fibrous, so I'm going to demonstrate how to clean the cutter. The grid holder goes up here. Scrape off the greens into the cloth. Assemble it again and begin juicing more greens. Mix carrots with greens. It's also a good idea not to push the pusher down all the way, and that prevents the blowback. Looks about 2/3 full. So when you pull this one out, put another one under immediately to catch any pulp. Put the pulp in here. And then fold it in thirds. Let's put that in here. Push it all the way and back it off a little bit. Now while that's pressing, I'm going to get some ice cubes. Now I use ice cubes to cool the cutter down. In the new jar with carrots. Always begin and end with carrots. Now this is the last jar that I'm going to do, so I'm going to fill it only half full. And that's because there's going to be pulp left in here and I don't want to overfill my cloth. Advance this all the way. Now as you notice, you can make juice and make pulp at the same time. A couple more ice cubes to cool the cutter down. A few more greens. This time I'm going to use a carrot for a pusher. If you use the carrot for a pusher, the greens go in more easily. Let's put in a few more pennyworth greens. Oh, and one drop of the juice there. Let's use the carrot for a pusher again. You notice how much more easily that goes in? And you always end your bag with a carrot, or you end your jar with a carrot. Now that little chug-a-lugga sound you heard was a safety feature that keeps the motor from sticking and overheating. That's very normal. Okay, now this goes under immediately to catch any drippings. Put this aside, clean that later. Take the grid holder out. Scrape the pulp into here, using the grid holder as a scraper. And then immediately clean the grid holder and the grid. I'm going to set this up here to dry. Remove the pusher and clean it. Set that in the drip tray and remove the feed tube. Now, the remaining pulp from the feed tube goes into the cloth. You don't want to waste any pulp. And immediately clean. Now look how easy this is to clean the Norwalk. This is the beautiful thing about a Norwalk juicer. It literally takes 45 seconds or less to clean this. Now if you have gloves on, you can pull the pusher off. If not, use a cloth. Got some pulp here. Let's put that in. Don't want to waste any of that pulp. Clean the cutter with a brush. And set this aside to dry. Clean the jars. Put them in the drip tray. That's all there is to it. And the last step with a clean sponge is to clean the back of this. Only cold water, never soap. Oop, I got some soap there, so we're going to have to give that a squirt of water to clean that off, because that's not good to have soap on there. You want to keep your juice. There we go. The feed tube goes back on. Let's fold the cloth here. We're going to see how much juice we get out of 2 cloths. I have a feeling we're going to get more than 2 bottles. Now, I'm going to squeeze it on top of the old cloth because we can squeeze more juice of that all the way, back it off a little, turn it on. advance it all the way. Pour the juice from the tray into here. And while that's juicing, I'm going to clean the tray. I'm going to once over with the sponge. Set the tray aside. Give that one more squeeze. Okay, now before I clean the claws, you can take a look at how dry this pulp is. Look at that, every ounce of nutrition out of there. And you can see that when you have carrot first and last in the jar, the pulp jar, it does not stick to the claw. Fold it in thirds, just like it became packaged. Let's set that over here. These claws, same thing. I didn't use all 6 claws, but they got juice in them, so we're going to clean them and squeeze all the water out of it before we put them back in the freezer. Now this whole process is going to take about 10-12 minutes. Down there. Got 2 more claws to fold and then we're done. Now the reason we put the claws in the freezer is germs cannot grow in the freezer. Keep everything sanitary. A little light scrub to get all the pulp off. This is my last cloth. Fold it up in thirds just like it came packaged. And the juice tray, clean that, put this in here, squeeze the water out. If you don't squeeze the water out, you will never get those claws apart. If you don't get this water out of the claws, it'd be like a brick of ice. That's it. Let's see if we can find a plastic bag here for the claws. There we go. Put the claws in a plastic bag. And into the freezer they go. Now Wes going to follow me over to the freezer here. Put those in. You can use the claws 6 or 7 times before you need to finish your set of claws. And my wife likes to use these plastic bottles for carrying it to work. I use glass bottles, but you don't argue with the wife, do you? Okay, there we go. Let's see how many bottles we get. Oh, it looks like we can get about 1.5 bottles. And my wife's going to drink this immediately tonight, so we'll have 1 full bottle for her and maybe half a bottle for me. And the last step, clean the juice pitcher bowl. I have a drip dry system back here. Everything drip dries. And there you have the whole process. I'm going to put this stuff away later, and I hope that you found that demonstration helpful.